against the United States. The Prime Minister spoke about the importance of rare earths just earlier this week when he was inaugurating that Suzuki factory in Ahmedabad. Have rare earths become the new oil?
Oh yes, absolutely, Zaka.
हमारे स्पेशल रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स के बीच बॉर्डर मैनेजमेंट के संबंध में सहमति बनी। कैलाश मानसरोवर यात्रा फिर से शुरू की। दोनों देशों के बीच डायरेक्ट फ्लाइट भी फिर से शुरू की जा रही है। हमारे सहयोग से दोनों देशों के 2.8 बिलियन लोगों के हित जुड़े हुए हैं। इससे पूरी मानवता के कल्याण का मार्ग भी प्रशस्त होगा। परस्पर विश्वास, सम्मान और संवेदनशीलता के आधार पर हम अपने संबंधों को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है। एजेंसी चीन द्वारा एचसीओ की सफल अध्यक्षता के लिए मैं आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। एक बार फिर चीन यात्रा के निमंत्रण के लिए और आज की हमारी बैठक के लिए आपका हार्दिक धन्यवाद।
Was the opening comments from the Prime Minister. He's mentioned 3-4 things which is part of the road to normalization between Delhi and Beijing. The border management mechanism that was agreed to in Kazan, the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra being resumed, direct flights will soon be resumed direct between Beijing and Delhi and possibly Mumbai and Shanghai as well. The Prime Minister talked about the combined 2.8 billion people of India and China and how the relationship has to be founded on mutual trust and mutual respect. He concluded by saying he congratulates the Chinese presidentship of the SCO, the rotating presidentship of SCO. China is the host currently this year, and he's ended by thanking President Xi for the invitation to visit China as part of the SCO summit. So Rahul, these were the opening comments that the Prime Minister made. Obviously, this was in front of the cameras, then the cameras go away, and for about 30 minutes they have the tete-a-tete, which I believe will be coming to a conclusion now.
Yes, we will also be getting an update on what President Xi said in response to the Prime Minister's introductory remarks. So that will be very, very interesting to get the Chinese perspective on where they're coming from. But the Prime Minister putting those issues there, right there, threadbare, center front, and suggesting that, look, we've got to normalize our relations, and the only way we can do it is by rebuilding trust. And that really, as I told you, was the one commodity that is in deficit. You can promise all the amount of trade, you can bring in all the number of flights, you can bring in as much FDI as you want, or rare earths, but if you don't have trust between these two principal agents that are going to determine the shape of the world in the next 50 years, well, there's going to be a problem, isn't it, Zaka? And that, I think, is the Prime Minister is very right to focus on this. And the Indian point of view has always been that the Indian side has always lived by the old principles of peace and mutual respect between these two countries, founded way back in the 1950s, but it's the Chinese that have continuously violated our trust. They have been assertive on the borders. They have made territorial claims that are unjustified and unfounded, even historically, and therefore have plunged the relationship into crises just when, of course, things were looking up or could have the potential of looking up. And you have to wonder, really, at the President Xi and his approach, because he's also facing headwinds, not just globally, but domestically, economic headwinds. And let's not forget that the Chinese economy has slowed. I won't say it's spluttered to a stop or anything, but yes, it has slowed. There is a housing crisis here in China. When you go down the streets, and I don't want to sort of amplify my voice, I might just be picked up and taken away, but the fact of the matter is, Zaka, that you can see that there has been, there's a little roughness at the edges, so to speak, and things, if you speak to some of the locals, they will tell you that COVID did deal a cruel blow to the aspirations of China, and therefore the President has also approached this from a pragmatic point of view. And, in his metaphors that he uses repeatedly in speeches, just the other day he said that we must climb the mountain and enter the forest even though there are tigers there. So he's urging the people of China to take risks, to take the situation, the opportunities that adversities present, and build a case for China's growth and recapture those heights. So he used that metaphor. It's been widely quoted here in the People's Daily. So there is reason for the Chinese president to be engaged and perhaps assuage, as I said, some of those doubts that still linger in Indian minds.
I want to play out again what the Prime Minister said. These are opening comments at the start of the bilateral meeting, which happened about 45 minutes ago. Let's play that out again, and then we'll go back to our guests and try and get them to weigh in on what the Prime Minister meant. These are the three precepts: mutual trust, mutual respect. Let's try and play that out once again for our viewers.
Excellency, हमारे गर्मजोशी भरे स्वागत के लिए मैं आपका हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। पिछले वर्ष कल्याण में हमारी बहुत ही सार्थक चर्चा हुई। हमारे संबंधों को एक सकारात्मक दिशा मिली। सीमा पर डिसएंगेजमेंट के बाद शांति और स्थिरता का माहौल बना हुआ है। हमारे स्पेशल रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स के बीच बॉर्डर मैनेजमेंट के संबंध में सहमति बनी। कैलाश मानसरोवर यात्रा फिर से शुरू की। दोनों देशों के बीच डायरेक्ट फ्लाइट भी फिर से शुरू की जा रही है। हमारे सहयोग से दोनों देशों के 2.8 बिलियन लोगों के हित जुड़े हुए हैं। इससे पूरी मानवता के कल्याण का मार्ग भी प्रशस्त होगा। परस्पर विश्वास, सम्मान और संवेदनशीलता के आधार पर हम अपने संबंधों को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध हैं। एक्सेलेंसी, चीन द्वारा एचसीओ की सफल अध्यक्षता के लिए मैं आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। एक बार फिर चीन यात्रा के निमंत्रण के लिए और आज की हमारी बैठक के लिए आपका हार्दिक धन्यवाद।
With the opening comments by the Prime Minister ahead of that bilateral meeting with Xi Jinping. It's been going on for 45 minutes now. I want to go across to Siddhant. The points that the Prime Minister emphasized: the border management agreement between the two special representatives, the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra being resumed, direct flights to be resumed soon, and the three precepts of mutual trust, mutual respect and mutual tolerance. What do you make of the initial comments that the Prime Minister has made?
That the direct flight to China will be resumed. Perhaps that's going to be the biggest takeaway from this meeting so far, going by what Prime Minister said in the opening remarks. In fact, Prime Minister Zaka also spoke about the interest of 2.8 billion people of both the countries. They are linked, and you know, he also said that this will also pave the way for the welfare of the entire humanity. Prime Minister also thanked China for opening up Kailash Mansarovar Yatra. So Zaka, meeting started at a very positive note. In fact, Chinese side have been asking for the resumption of flight from a very long time. In fact, it finds mention in almost all the documents released by both the countries in last 6 months or so. But this is for the first time that you know, Indian side has confirmed that there is going to be the resumption of flight, and that is coming from the Prime Minister Modi himself.
Okay, I also want to go across to Professor Swaran Singh, who's joining us from the Center for International Politics at the Jawaharlal Nehru University. Tara Karta is former director at the National Security Council Secretariat. I want to go across, yes, Professor Singh first. You know, a lot of nice things are being said, and obviously, you know, India and China are in the process of normalization of ties, but central to it is the boundary dispute. We had Wang Yi here last week and they agreed to an early harvest. We don't know quite what the contours of an early harvest are, but ultimately, you know, the first of those three steps, disengagement, has concluded, but we are far away from de-escalation or de-induction. We still have 50,000 troops on either side of the line of actual control. Do we know in terms of timelines or processes as to how soon we can get to a pre-2020 position? Because it's not normal for two neighbors, two large countries, to have this kind of a standoff continuing, even though they haven't fired at each other in the last 5 years since the Galwan clashes happened.
That's right. After their initial disengagement, de-escalation is apparently taking longer time. And therefore, the focus now is to create atmospherics on the line of actual control. And that is where the opening up of Kailash Mansarovar Yatra is now going to be followed by opening up border trade in three border points of Lepulek, Shipkila, and Nathula. And that should perhaps make the environment little more stable to then think of de-induction, as you just mentioned. So when we talk of early harvest or low-lying fruits, it's some of these actions. And I think since Chinese want to focus on the overall relationship while India wants to focus on the border, India is reciprocating in that sense in allowing easy visas for Chinese nationals. First with technical staff, now also with managerial staff, and Prime Minister just announced flights, direct flights. We had 9 sectors